Hi there, it's Vicki Ross, and today's video is going to show you a process that I use for developing a painting composition. I have several processes. This is the one that I use most often. I also use this process at times to analyze old master paintings like Leonardo and Da Vinci and that's the same one. Hello. Rembrandt, and some of the famous painters. I like to see how much they followed this pattern since they're credited with developing it. So I am on a Mac, and right now I'm in the Photos app, where I took some pictures of these beautiful yellow, I call them lilies, Jack in the Pulpit. I'm not sure what they are, but they are gorgeous, and they come up every year. So, oops, mixed in with everything else, I have a bunch of close-up flowers. I also have some from last week. I seem to take pictures of these all summer. So what I do is I have Photoshop open, and it is double 8.5 by 11, so that I have room to move things around. So that makes it 17 by 11, tabloid size. So from my photos, I can, in the enlarged view, let me show you, not this view, double click on your picture, and then just drag this over. There it goes. It has a bounding box around it, which you need to accept this picture before you can do anything with it. So I hit return, and it removes the bounding box. Now I do that with several different pictures. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hit return. Okay. Now I take the magnetic lasso tool. It's third from the top, and it's with the lasso group. I'm going to move that one out of the way. And you can enlarge it however you want it. And I am going to make a rough outline of this flower. If you pick your finger up off your mouse, or in my case, a trackpad, make sure you put your cursor right back on that last dot. And I usually miss that one or two times. So if I do, you'll get to see. It just makes its own path all the way over in weird places. It's not the only way to cut an image out of a picture. Now be sure you click back where you started. Hit enter if the marching ants don't come up. Now you can see the marching ants. And I'm going to go up to the top menu bar under layer. I'm going to pull down to new, layer via copy. Oh, I didn't have it on the right. I wonder where I am. You have to have it on the right layer. It's easy to forget. Layer via copy. There we go. And there's our copy. And so I'm going to turn that off. And there's our picture. I'm going to leave the magnetic tool. Be sure you do that, or you will go ahead and make marks. So that's the move tool. And that's a command that I use often. That's a V for Vicki. See? You can remember that. And then now you can move this baby wherever you want it. Now, I do that with 3 or 4 different flowers. Well, you got to get on the right layer, dear heart. That's the same one. And I do the same thing until I get several different flowers to choose from. Okay. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to delete that. I think those are the ones. Now, turn that off. I have already done this process. So I'm going to show you the results of my trimming. And you can see how rough it is. This is just for us, just for you. So now you can separate them. You can move them around till you see what you've got. I need this one out of the way. Let me just do that. Okay. Now, I start with one flower. And I'm going to start with that one. And I'm going to have it all by itself. And I need to be on that layer. So we all know the rule of thirds. So what I'm going to do is click on a grid that I made of the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds is a tic-tac-toe board. Basically, that's all it is a third, a third, a third, a third, a third, a third, third, a third, a third, a third. So anyway, the goal is to have a center of interest either along the lines or at an intersection. So if that's the case, I could put my center of interest right here. Just saying. The next thing I'm going to do is I have this set for I'm not sure what I've got it set for. I've got it set excuse me, for a canvas size so that I'll remember where I am. I've got more room on this panel than I need. All right, so there's that flower. Now let's get another flower. Just pick another flower. We've only got 4 to deal with. Oops. And now I'm going to move this one over. And we're going to investigate this. I'm going to put, whoop. Let's just do basic. Let's put this one centered. Now I want these to be upright so that they're natural, but they're not. You know, they're kind of altered. I want this one to be straight up. Hit return. I'm sorry, I did Command T for transform and then rotated it. Let's do that again so you can see it. Command T. It puts the box around it, and outside that box is the curved 2-headed arrow. And that's what I click and drag on to turn that. Okay? Now when you get through, to make the box go away, you hit enter. So this is nondescript. Let's line them up just because we're just getting familiar with our subject. So there's the rule of thirds. Now the other that I use a lot is the golden spiral. And this is the golden spiral. So this says it's all based on the golden mean, which is a mathematical formula that was used in the Greco-Roman era. All the architecture in Greece and Roman times was based on this symbol. And so was a lot of the art in that time. And so were a lot of other things like plants and shells and fish and stuff like that. But we're not going to go into all that. Suffice it to say, I've got it boiled down to just what I need to focus on, which is a composition. Theoretically, let me close this little guy out. Theoretically, everything outside this oval, like this corner, the three corners, would be faded. That is non-important to our composition. But what is important is this section right here. This is the hot spot, and it correlates to the rule of thirds, which is probably somebody else's attempt to streamline or simplify the golden mean. So that doesn't do a thing for me as a vantage point, even if it is on the straight line for that. So let's go over here to layers, and let's pick this layer, and let's move this one over. And then we're going to click that layer, and we're going to move that one over. Now in Photoshop, there are 1 million things you can do to achieve the same effect. So you may know different things to do that achieve the same. Yeah, that's a more interesting point of view. It's still on the straight line path, and so is this one. So we've got two down in a, in a manner of speaking. So now I am going to turn off the spiral, and I'm going to click on the golden triangles. Now it said in composition lore that diagonal lines are very pleasing to the eye. And so if you can arrange your items in your painting to correlate with these lines, you've got another chance at a good composition. So I'm going to leave this one for now, but I see something obvious. Whoops. Telling you. I used to do this all day, every day, and I have really lost my edge. Okay, so let's move this one up where it's on the line with that diagonal. And let's move this one down. We're still in the sweet spot, more or less. I want to move it there. And we've got our bottom here. Let's, just for grins, I did Command T and got the bounding box for this layer. Oh, it's way down there. I'm going to raise it. I'm going to enlarge it just a little and then move it down. Like that. So now they're touching, and I'm going to hit return to stop that. Okay, let's go here, and let's do the same thing, Command T, and let's reduce this one just a little bit. Okay, hit return. Okay, now what we've got is two of the diagonal lines are placed in a supposed fashion. I left the rule of thirds on there so you could see how this point with this triangle idea still works. I mean, now that's 3 that we've got. We're on the diagonals, and we're in the thirds and the spiral. So I'm going to turn off triangles, and I'm going to go to another one called Harmonic Triangles. And again, the diagonal line goes through the tic-tac-toe, which this would still be our center of interest, but the diagonals aren't touching anywhere here. No, they're not on any kind of a matchup. Excuse me. So what can we do about that? Let's see. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to flip the triangle grid. I'm going to come down to transform, which again we know is T, and I'm going to come down and flip horizontal. And that really is not, I don't see any way to make that. Let's flip it vertical and see if that, I think that puts us back where we were. So that one really is not fitting my composition at all. So I'm just going to turn that one off. So I'm going to turn that one off. Now, does this do anything really for us? No, it doesn't, to me. So now I'm going to turn off the little one, and because this was the one I started with, and I'm going to turn on this one. I'm going to click on the layer to activate it, and I'm going to move this one somewhere in the vicinity. Okay, now I'm going to do rule of thirds, straight up and down. I don't particularly care for that as a center of interest, and there's nothing over here that makes one. So let's see what happens if we make that a center. No, let's do this one. Let's do right here and just see what happens. Okay, now let's get the golden spiral. Okay, well, we knew that was going to happen. This line right here, this big tulip can come down. Let me see what's going on over here. Yeah, we're out of the picture plane over here, which is fine. I mean, you're out of the, you're going to be cropped. I put my hand up there like you could see it. So I'm going to open up layers. I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to bring it down until it hits the edge of that circle. Okay, now I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to go to golden triangles. So now if I want to use this line, I'm going to have to, and I don't want it to go any higher than that point, but if I want to align it with the diagonal, I can do it there. Now let's turn on the spiral again. Okay, we're good. Oops. Layers. I cannot flip a flower horizontally to make it more interesting because of the light, the sunlight. I would have to mentally remember that I had done that every time I touch it. Let's pull this down. That doesn't really do a thing for me. Let's go to layers and golden triangles and flip it. Transform, flip horizontal. Again, not much that I see. Okay, let's get rid of that one. Now we're at the harmonic. I could move and I could move that. Now they're touching the same line. Doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So I'm going to say I don't like that flower. Okay, now we're going to close off our grids and we're going to open the fourth flower. Looks like the same flower, but it's not. Different photo. Alright, so I'm going to go to rule of thirds. The eyeball over here on the left column is what makes it visible, and then clicking on it till it turns blue-gray is what makes it active. So I want to go back down here to this. I want to move this over, doing the same things again. And then this one, we'll move that over, and I'm going to straighten that. So Command T, and another little key command. You can do Control, click in the box, and you can come down here and flip. No, I don't want to flip it. I want to rotate it. So I don't need to do that. Whoop. Hit return, Command Z. Okay, Command T, and I'm going to get the curvy arrow. And like I said, I'm not worrying about my stems because I'm going to paint them in. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Now I've got this is my center of interest, but it's no longer on the line here. Just observing, I'm not making judgments. So if I move this one over, okay, now let's look at the golden. Okay, we've got that. That one's a little bit high, so we can move that down and out a little bit. Or we can choose to just leave it. And I think I'm just going to leave it. I can always adjust it when I paint it. All right, so we're good there. Now let's go to golden triangles. Golden triangles. And see what we see here. I don't see much, so I'm going to transform it. I'm going to go to edit. Sometimes keyboard shortcuts are more trouble than they're worth, so I'll do some of it manual. All right, now we've kind of got something maybe interesting here. So let's go to this layer and let's move that up. But it's not doing anything to this flower. We could move this one down. Let's try that. About like that. And then we're hitting along there. Still got our center. That's okay. And let's try harmonic, not Monique. Monique. Okay, I'm going to click, make that active. I'm going to flip it horizontal. Just see. It's not anywhere near close to anything that we're working with, so I'm going to close that one off. Now, just for the sake of grins, let me check golden spiral again. Okay, we're in good shape. Turn both of those off. Now, if this is going to be my composition for this flower, the next thing I need to do is pretend put a background on it. So I started with a blue-red. Why red, you say? Well, because it's the complement of green. And there's some green in this. Maybe not a lot, but there is some green. So now to change this color, you can also see here how it's centered in the picture plane. Visually centered. Yeah, that could be okay. All right, now click on the color swatch box over on the left menu bar at the bottom. Click on that. And this is the red that we've got picked. Now, if I want to go to more of a blue red, more of a purple, click OK. And then you go up under Edit. Well, I've got to have it. No, where am I? Layers. Oh, I didn't have it active. Edit, fill with foreground color. So you could do that. I have a puppy. I still kind of like that. Let's go back to click the swatch box. And I want to come back down to this hotter color. Shh, I have puppies. Oh, that's awful. That's awful. That's kind of a brown. But let's see. The kids are home because of Corona. Phil? I'm joking. They're puppy dogs. Ooh, yuck. No, 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 no. So I do kind of I do kind of like the blue red. Now, the next thing I do is I crop it. But I'm going to save it first. Pretend save. Okay, because this is my working file. Pretend save. And then I'm going to come in. My crop tool is C for crop. That's a big hard one. And I'm going to pull the corners in to my lines. That top one should have measured at the top. I don't know what happened there. But just for grins, let's just say that's it. Click enter. And then go back to V for your move tool. Okay, my piece of paper that I'm going to put this on measures 6 by 9. So what I'm going to do, because you can make this picture on your screen be any size you want. What I'm going to do by the numbers, I'm going to go to image size. And I'm going to look at this and I'm going to go, 16, remember, well, 15 and a half by 9. But I want this to be 9. So I'm going to change that, which will bring this down to 6.5. I had my resample checked, which leaves the resolution at 300. I'm going to click OK. Now, this, if it prints, I mean, not if it prints, when it prints, I'm going to turn it sideways. And I've got hard proofing on. I always want to check my position and scale. I want it always at 100%. There are some programs that change that automatically, so you want it at 100%. If you print this at 100%, you will get a print the very same size as your paper. And what that means is you can take your print. I've got one printed, y'all can't see it. But just pretend that I'm printing. I mean, I've printed it 6 by 9, and I want to measure it exactly. I can come to my paper with the end of a paintbrush, or that's what I always use because that's handy. And I can measure exactly where that lily starts and ends. So, there you have it. That's what I do. And I am going to print this. And say sayonara. I think that is it for this portion of this video. The grids will be made available to you over in my Teachable site. I'm thinking. I go through this process with almost every composition I do, every painting. I don't so much in a layout book, in a journal. but I do it on all of my paintings. So there we have it. And now I am going to click out of here before I mess it up. Let me just do that while y'all are here. I'm going to revert. I did not save it. I guess I did. Let me go to photos and I'll show you the one that I did. Thank you. And here's the one that I did yesterday or the day before. I've done this video 3 times. Forgot to turn the volume on twice. So I'm hoping I got it this time. But this is where I ended up before. Did the same process. I've got my triangles. I've got another one here. My spiral. So there you go. That's what I do. And I'm going to say over and out right now. I enjoyed that. And I will see you when I paint it. Bye-bye. Alrighty. This is your little bonus session to show you how I use the grids in real time with another type of process. So the first thing I do is open the source photo that I think I want to use. Okay, and in this particular case, I wanted to do a modern rendering of Leonardo's Princess. I had just started with casein, and it was such an old paint medium, I thought, well, that'd be a good idea. But the first thing I wanted to do was see if, in this case, Leonardo used the golden mean and the golden spiral and those things to plan his painting before he positioned her. So I searched and got a good photograph from Wiki Images of the original, because I wanted to make sure that I had where it was cropped and everything was as close as it could be to the original. The second thing I did was open my grids. No, I want to show you this. Open my grids. Okay. My grids file that you guys get these 4. And to get that over onto my painting, or my girl, I Command A for select all, and then Command T, and then I make sure that I'm on my hand. That's the shortcut is V, the move tool, and I grab this, and when I drag it over to her picture at the top where the title is, I bring my arrow down into the picture. Okay, see my cursor? And it didn't work, did it? Okay, so go back here. Let's just do Command A, move tool, drag over. Best laid plans of mice and men. Welcome to my world. I want you to see the challenges that you will have with Photoshop. I've been using it since version 1, and look at what I just did. Every time I imported it and it wasn't there, it went below my pictures. So I'm going to delete those, and I'm going to delete these. cancel. Shift key, delete. Okay. Now we're back. And I want to pull that over here. So we're going to do it again. 4th, 5th, 6th tries. Wait a minute. I didn't get my finger far enough on my trackpad. Okay. Pull it over. Pull the cursor down into the picture and drop. Just lift your finger up. So the grids are horizontal and the picture is vertical. So the first thing you got to do is turn the grids 90 degrees. Doesn't matter which direction at this point. So that is Command A. And then you go up to, under the Edit memo, Edit to Transform, and rotate 90. Okay, now reduce the size of your picture. And we're going to Command A that again. And we're going to Command T. And we're going to bring those grids in to match the size of the picture. And because it's so much bigger, I'm going to Command A it again, Command T. I'm having trouble today. Command C, Command T. Okay, Command D. All right, now got to get these. Again, welcome to my world. You know what? I think I'm just going to start this over. Da 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 da. Start over. Okay, this is the little bonus video that I'm putting on the end of the lilies that I want you guys to do. This is an actual process that I went through to get a painting encasing for a show that I'm going to enter. And since casein is such an old medium, don't ask me who invented mixing pigment from rocks with clabbered milk. I don't know. But that was what was done. So I decided if I looked at doing a modern take on this painting by Leonardo da Vinci, that I might have a good composition to paint for that purpose. So I opened this first, and I got the image from Wiki Images because I wanted a high resolution and I wanted it as close to the original as I could get. And for the reason for that is a lot of times you'll download something off the internet and it'll just be cropped. Well, in order to do what I wanted to do and match the grids with the golden spiral and the golden mean, to see if he used it, I just wanted to know. Then I could use that to design my own painting. So, without further ado, the second thing I do is find my grids, and I open the file. You will have gotten, 4 grids were in your pack. So I'm going to do Command A, and you'll see your marching ants somewhere on the piece. And I'm going to grab it with the move tool, and I'm going to drag it over to the picture, bring the cursor down into the picture, and release. And right now it's horizontal. We need it to be vertical. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select those under Edit, pull down to Transform, and rotate 90 degrees. It doesn't matter which way. The next thing I'm going to do is bring it down and match the size of my photo. I'm just going to align the edges. I'm going to hold down Option. No, it's Shift. This is one of the ones Photoshop just changed recently. Just going to line it up as close as I can. All right, now we know that he didn't use that orientation on the spiral, so I'm going to go back to Edit, back to Transform, and I'm going to flip vertical. Ta-da! There you go. And I'm going to hit Return or Enter to get to this point. Now, as I showed you in the first video, the first thing I look at is the rule of thirds. I don't really see much use of the rule of thirds, and all the research that I've done seems to imply that the rule of thirds is an adaptation of all of the golden spirals and triangles and harmonic triangles and all that. And it's easy to remember, and basically if you put this center of interest right here on her cheek as the brightest spot, you're pretty well going to be within the golden mean. So now I'm going to turn that off. Next thing I'm going to do is turn on the golden spiral. And there is where he put her cheek and her eye. So see, what I said is true. The rule of thirds is on this cheek, which puts the eye. Now why he didn't put the eye down here and have it be on the thirds or over here, I don't know. That's not something that I know. So we've got the golden spiral and we've got the rule of thirds. Technically, the way it's been explained to me is that anything outside this oval shape can be faded because it's not anywhere near your point of interest. And you try to have things fall within this line. And again, I don't see evidence of that. So now I'm going to take a look at the golden triangles. Click on golden triangles, make sure the eye's there. And Command A, Edit, Transform, Flip horizontal. Nothing there that I see. And I think we get the same results this way. Flip vertical. No, it's different. And that's also moved a little bit there. So I don't really see, I mean, we've got the ponytail along one line, but that doesn't have anything to do with the composition, or that I can tell anyway. And now let's look at the harmonic triangles. Harmonic, I say it that way every time. Okay, Command A. Edit. Oh, make sure you've got it turned on and that's on. Okay. Okay, turn that one off and turn this one on. See, I'm telling you. All right, now we can go to Edit and Transform. and flip horizontal. And that one's moved too. I kind of really want to keep them lined up. Thank you very much. All right. I don't really see anything there except the corner of the eye. And this hits here. I mean, but that doesn't really do much for me as a composition. Now you can get a historian that can tell you all the ins and outs of this and the technical stuff. But art historian ain't us. So I don't really see anything in this composition but the golden spiral. So if I want to do a modern day version of Princess, I will need to put my lady's eye right in that same spot. So I've already loaded her. I'm going to close this and put the eye on that. And there she is. Just a hair. Now then, what I wanted to know was how big is the hair? How big is the head? So I'm going to turn that layer back on, and I'm going to come up to opacity, and I'm going to slide it. I don't want to do that. I'm going to slide it until I can see both of them. Okay, now right there is a pretty good view. You can see the shadow outline of her head. So my girl's head needs to be bigger. Make sure you're on the right layer, Vicki. Command T. And we are going to grab this handle since that's the direction she'll go. And then we're going to look where her eye moved because it will. And then we're going to do this again. And again. Move the eye back. That's pretty close. Okay. I'm going to let that stand. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll move that back to 100%. And the other thing I can sometimes do, is highlight that layer, move it on top, and then put the opacity on this one. Pretty close. And of course the other girl, Princess, has her ponytail thing, which is not part of her head. And here you can see the alignment. Look at that. Look at that. I didn't do that before. So right there. Beautiful. Okay, so let's leave that. Okay, now the next thing I did was I print this showing the circle. I put it back on 100%, which it is. It's on 100. No, it's not. It's on 38. Up here, back to 100. I print this with the spiral on it, and then I turn the spiral off, and I print it again. And that is my source for my painting, and it's exactly the same size as what I want to paint. So turn that back on. Now, the next thing I did was, I don't see it. I dragged my finished painting on top. Okay, let's see how I did. I haven't done this, but this is live. Pretty darn close. And now just for grins, let's move that back to 100. And let's move this up and take a look at it. Okay, so my face is a little bit, I mean, it's off a little bit, but it's going to, because my girl is 21st century and this was probably 14th. So, you know, things change. But it's very close and I'm very happy with that. So, close, close, close. Take this back to 100. Oops, wrong one. And there's mine. So there you have it. And that is what I sometimes do. And then I try to match it with my painting. And right now I can see that I could really tone down the skin color to make it look more like Leonardo. But she really doesn't have much value change in her face. So I'll see. She's been sitting here for a month or so waiting for final corrections or edits or whatnot. The hair is, of course, different. I gave her a little pearl earring. But I'm especially proud of how her leather vest turned out. There's the original. There's mine. So, that's it. I'm going to sign off. Love you guys. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.